will discuss about class 10 science first chapter, that is chemical reactions and equations. In this video we will discuss about first two topics of this chapter, that is first meaning of chemical reaction and second characteristics of a chemical reaction. So let's get started. First you have to understand the meaning of a chemical reaction. So, to understand the meaning of a chemical reaction, you have to consider few situations of daily life which are given in your NCERT book. First is milk is left at room temperature during summers. So, what will happen? The texture of the milk will change and it forms curd. So, it is an example of a chemical reaction. Second, iron tawa or pan, nail is left exposed to humid atmosphere. So this type of chemical changes you can see in your day-to-day life. Say for example, during rainy season, if any iron object kept outside, then that iron object after getting moisture, water and combining with oxygen perform a reaction and changes its appearance, that is it changes its chemical composition. So in this what happens, the iron metal changes to iron oxide. So it is an example of chemical reaction. Third is grapes get fermented. So after fermentation of grapes, its color, its texture will change, even its taste will change. So it is an example of a chemical reaction. Fourth is food is cooked. When food is cooked, then the raw food materials and the ingredients which we are using for cooking, they will change. So it is an example of a chemical reaction. And fifth, food gets digested in our body. The food which is taken within our body, it is digested by the enzymes present within the body. The complex food materials are broken down simpler one and the nutrients are absorbed by our body. So it is an example of a chemical reaction. Then sixth is we respire. So during respiration we know that we inhale oxygen and exhale carbon dioxide. So when we inhale oxygen, it combines with the hemoglobin present in our blood and it goes to all the cells of our body. And within the cells of our body, the waste product, the carbon dioxide which is generated, it is taken by the blood. It combines with hemoglobin and then it goes to lung and through the blood, and the dioxide is exhaled from our body. So when we consider these type of situations of our daily life, we can observe few changes occur around us or within our body. So these changes are chemical reactions. So now you can understand that what is a chemical reaction. It means any changes which is occurring is a chemical reaction. But what will be the proper definition of a chemical reaction? So students, please note it down, the definition of a chemical reaction. That is a change in which one or more substances change their chemical composition and chemical properties to become a completely new substance is called a chemical reaction. So this is a proper definition of a chemical reaction. Now our second topic is characteristics of a chemical reaction. So there are main four characteristics of a chemical reaction. First is change in state, second change in color, third evolution of a gas, and fourth change in temperature. To understand the characteristics of a chemical reaction, you have to observe the few activities which are given in your book. First activity, let's see first activity 1.1. In this activity, you have to take a magnesium ribbon and with a pair of tongs, you have to hold it and you have to burn it in the presence of air, and you will observe that magnesium ribbon burns with a dazzling flame and changes into a white powder. That is, as of the magnesium ribbon will form. So this powder is magnesium oxide. So what happens? It forms due to the reaction between the magnesium and the oxygen present in air. So in this reaction, we can observe the change in color occur. The magnesium ribbon changes into white powdery substance. So there is a change occur in state and color of the and texture of the substance. So it is an example of a chemical reaction. Next activity is activity 1.2. You have to take lead nitrate solution and potassium iodide solution and you have to mix it. The lead nitrate solution contains particles of lead and the potassium iodide solution contains particles of iodide. So when the solution mix, the lead particles and the iodide particles combine and create two new substances or two new compounds, a yellow solid called the lead iodide and a white solid called the potassium nitrate. So before the reaction, the two solutions are colorless, or potassium iodide is slightly orange in color. So after reaction, what will happen? The two solids will form, the yellow solid and the white solid. So you can observe the change in state and even the change in color. So this is due to the chemical reaction which is taken place between the lead nitrate and the potassium iodide solution. In the third activity, that is the 1.3 activity, you have to take zinc granules and sulfuric acid or hydrochloric acid, and you have to take the conical flask and you have to add dilute hydrochloric acid or sulfuric acid in that conical flask, and you have to add few granules of the zinc. Then after adding the granules of the zinc, you will observe that the hydrogen gas will liberated, and when dilute sulfuric acid reacts with zinc granules. So after this reaction, zinc sulfate is formed and hydrogen gas is formed. So when zinc reacts with dilute sulfuric acid, hydrogen gas is evolved, and you can observe few bubbles in the conical flask. So it is an example of single displacement reaction. So it is a type of reaction, chemical reaction, and you will observe in the further videos. Here if you touch the conical flask, then you will observe few change in temperature. That is, it is a slightly exothermic reaction. You have learned about the exothermic and endothermic reactions in previous classes. Actually, the change in temperature, you can say that it is the loss or gain of heat energy in the substance. That is, decrease or increase its temperature. So based on this property, the chemical reactions can be endothermic and exothermic. In this activity, you will learn that evolution of gas occurs, that is liberation of the hydrogen gas and the change in temperature. So with these activities, you have learned four characteristics of the chemical reaction, that is change in state, change in color, evolution of gas and change in temperature.